Welcome to Wild Places. I'm your host, Brad Clement. This podcast is presented by Panji Foundation, saving snow leopards, helping communities. Aaron and Abbey Mojica. Now, where do I begin with this story? Aaron, you and I met a few years ago. You were already involved in Colorado as kind of a steward of environmental protection. You were helping the Front Range climbing stewards. And I think that's how we initially met. And then we became friends on Facebook. And somewhere along the line, I start to see these photos. You're living, I believe you were a lifelong Colorado resident, born and raised, and really a phenomenal rock climber. And then I start seeing these photos. You've moved to Nicaragua, and okay, so I just noticed that. And then I start seeing all these photos of you, at least that's how I took it, of you releasing little infant baby sea turtles back to the ocean. So I reached out to you, and you're like, yeah, let's talk about it, but let's grab my daughter, Abbey, because she's really the force behind this. So Aaron and Abbey, can't thank you enough for being part of this. I'm learning as I go. This is a brand new podcast. Aaron, I'm going to start with you. Why move from Colorado to Nicaragua?
So before I worked with the Front Range climbing stewards and the environmental conservation programs, I have been a lifelong home builder. I build custom homes. That's what I grew up doing, and that's what I've always done as a job. Working with the Rocky Mountain Field Institute and the Front Range climbing stewards was sort of about a 5 or 6 year sabbatical that I took away from the for-profit building homes, for as a career, as a job. So I just took a few years off to do something that I wanted to do that wasn't all about making the money and, sort of leaving that rat race. And then I did those years with the Front Range climbing stewards. And then while in Boulder, I met someone who was interested in buying property in Central America on the beach and then building sort of a beach house. So we toured Costa Rica and then came up to Nicaragua. They found land in a very rural northwestern part, right on the Pacific Ocean. We're only about 40 miles south of El Salvador. And they bought the property, and I came to build the house. And then there was never any intent to live here, to make Nicaragua my permanent home. But after about 6 months here, I was like, oh my God, I love this. This is the complete switch from Colorado. You're right, I'm born and bred Colorado. I've traveled a bit, but I've never lived anywhere else really. So to go from, the Front Range, Colorado, to basically my own private beach in Central America is what happened. So I came here to build homes. I built the home that I came to start with, and then I've just been picking up more and more projects, building for other foreigners that are coming to this little area. It's mostly a surf destination that's not quite on the map yet. So that's the foreign interest here.
And when I met you, you were overseeing these remarkable stone pathways and ensuring that the overpopulated trails of Colorado kind of hold some integrity. And your stonework was amazing. And I believe you still specialize in stone construction.
Yeah, you can see this wall behind me. It's that's some of my handiwork right here. Yeah, the stone masonry, concrete has always been my special touch in the custom homes that I build. So they're always, my style tends to a very simple. We use stone, steel, concrete, and wood for our homes. So all the finishes you don't see Formica, you don't see ceramic tile. We use the elements as they are: stone, wood, concrete, and steel. And so that always that background in stonemasonry is what really caught the attention of JB, the impetus behind front range climbing stewards, and I was able to use my craft for those years with them and to show them some of the things I had learned, and then to learn some new ways from JB and his crews.
So how did you guys end up father-daughter team, Abbey, as helping? I guess are you actually like incubating these eggs of sea turtles and then releasing them? Like how did so you moved from Colorado, you're living in Nicaragua, and now Abbey, you're how old are you?
I'm only 15.
So you're 15. How did you guys start this turtle work? And correct me if I'm wrong, most sea turtles are endangered, and is this one of the species that is endangered? And how did you do this?
You want to answer that, Ab, or you want me to?
You go ahead.
Okay, so where we live, it's on the beach. It's a nesting area for a variety of the sea turtles, which, yes, some are endangered. There's various classifications: endangered, protected. So can you remember the name of the specific ones we're working with, Ab? I always forget that one.
Ridley.
Yeah, the olive ridleys. So in this area, the sea turtles come to shore to lay their eggs. But where we are in northern Nicaragua, the local population if a sea turtle lays its egg, the local population immediately digs up those eggs to sell as a food source.
Mm-hmm.
The eggs are sort of a delicacy. So there are a few programs along the coasts of both Costa Rica and Nicaragua that we build what we call a vivero, a turtle hatchery. It's like this enclosed structure where we buy the turtle eggs from the local population and then incubate them, rather than those eggs going to the markets to be sold as food. So we buy the eggs at the prevailing market rate, incubate the eggs in the turtle hatchery until they hatch, which is 65 to 75 days. And then as they hatch, we release them into the ocean.
Wow. Wow. Now, you said that so smoothly and so easily, and yet I believe, so let me deconstruct this a bit.
Okay.
You are essentially providing a livelihood for the people that would be selling the eggs.
Correct.
But also then promoting the eggs to hatch and go back into the ocean.
Yep.
And okay, so there's the snapshot, but then I remember in some of our emails before we jumped on this call, you're like, yeah, I just built the stuff and Abbey did it all. So Abbey, I have to ask you, as a 15-year-old, what inspired you? How did this happen? And then we'll go a little further, because I want to know the logistics of how you can really make these eggs hatch and then release them. But what captured your interest at the very first?
Well, I guess it started like I was interested when we first started starting this project, but then I saw the first baby turtle go out into the water, and I was like, I want to do more. Like, how can I do more? And since then I was like, I want to help out. I want to do more to help these turtles have a life into the ocean. I was just intrigued when I saw the first baby turtle go out into the first wave.
So you say that, Describe what a baby turtle looks like. Like what grabbed your attention? Are they cute? Are they ugly? Are they what endeared you to this little creature?
Well, it was like the eyes, I think. Like there was like these little black beads. The It stood out more than anything to me. It was like these little black beads and like this little head.
Very cool. Very cool. So what, Aaron, you again, I go back to me knowing you as a Colorado climber. Abbey, do you climb? Did your dad's kind of love of nature and interaction with nature influence you? What's your story?
Yeah, I was like, he started climbing and then I got into it like same time as him. And it was just like he influenced me outdoors and I just wanted to be with him and outdoor, and wherever he went outdoor, I was pretty much there.
Very cool.
Like
Very
his
cool.
love for rock climbing became mine too. Yeah.
That's cool. So describe a little bit more. So you purchase these eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they go? How do you make sure they're going to hatch? What's that process?
So it's just like building a house. It's a million-step process, a bunch of little steps that all add up to one end result. So where on the property where we live, we took a corner, designated a corner that's about 20 feet by 20 feet square. And we started by clearing the vegetation. That's kind of a sea lettuce that grows in this area. Cleared the vegetation, and then we removed about a depth of 4 feet of the sand. So we dug a giant hole. We took the sand into a pile, and then we put the sand back into that hole, but we sifted it. We ran it through. We screened it to get out all the any root matter, organic matter, vegetation, insects, so that the sand that we put back was just pure beach sand. It had no contaminants. No, for example, if there were ants or any of the bugs that live here, they would see the eggs that we would then put into the sand as a food source. If there were any roots, the roots would sort of grow around the eggs and make it complicated for the turtles to dig their way out once they hatch. So we dug a pit, sifted the sand back in, and then built a screened structure around to keep out the dogs, the wild dogs, or they're not wild dogs, but the dogs here in Nicaragua are free range. Like they sort of have owners, but there's no leash laws. They're just packs of dogs roaming at will, and they would dig up these eggs to eat also, along with any birds, the crabs. So we had to build a protected screened enclosure, and then we covered it with coconut fronds, the leaves from a coconut tree, as a roofing to sort of give it some shade and to protect it from the harshest rains, because we had a couple of hurricanes come through here while the eggs were in the sand. So that's how we start. Is we make we replicate what a mother turtle does. When the mother turtle comes to shore, she digs a hole and deposits anywhere from 80 to 150 eggs into this hole, and then scoops the sand back over it. So we did sort of the same thing, but just in a controlled environment, and enough room for a couple hundred nests.
You make that sound quite easy, and yet you're talking about 20 feet by 20 feet. We dig down 4 feet. That's a lot of moving of material. Do you do that by hand? Like, did you dig that out?
So I did not personally dig. The local Nicaraguans are an incredible breed of people. They are the hardest workers. Like, I used to think that I could hold my own, like in manual labor, but I'm a cream puff down here. Like, if the front range climbing stewards get a hold of 10 Nicaraguans, they would triple their output. So
Okay.
they do all the manual hard lifting. I just make sure that the 20 feet are 20 feet, that the 4 feet is 4 feet, and that the processes are followed. But yeah, so I employed locals from this area to do the work.
How did you guys know how long to incubate and what to do? I guess these turtles from the eggs start chipping away, or they try to break free from their eggs. How did you know what to do?
So we're not the first people to do this in this area. There have been up and down these beaches, there are other people that are buying and hatching these eggs. The reason we are doing it is because of the 2020 COVID pandemic. So that shut down all of these other programs in the area that were initially doing these eggs, doing these programs. So the processes have already been in place. So we just use the info that had already been used in this area.
So Abby, how many hatchlings did you release this year? Is year the correct thing? Is it a season? Is it a year? How many did you release?
Over 1,000, right?
Like 1,568, I think to be exact.
It's a lot. That seems like a lot to me. And what do you think their survival rate will be? Is there any documented information on that, or what do you guys hope to see in survival?
So these numbers are a little depressing.
Okay.
In the wild, 1 out of every 5,000 hatched eggs makes it to 1 year. In a more controlled environment like what we're doing, so like I was saying, we make the screened house to protect them from predators. So it's estimated that about 1 in 1,000 make it to a year.
So 1 or 2 will make it.
We're saying that a lot more are going to make it, but statistically, that's what the numbers say.
Yeah. But think if you guys weren't doing this, how many less would really end up surviving? I remember, so I did a video project a couple years ago in the Florida Keys, and I visited a turtle hospital, and it was all about saving sea turtles. It fascinated me, and I'd never really thought of sea turtles, and here they are, like, man, they're rare. They're
magnificent creatures,
and they're beautiful, and they're so susceptible to human problems. Yeah. Name your array of issues. They deal directly with who we are as a species. And so what is it like to watch these little dudes walk out towards the ocean? And then what is it like to see them hit the water? Like, what is that?
You want to start, Ab? Go for that.
Well, when they go out, they slow at first, but then once they realize what they're doing, they go for it. And when they hit the water, like, I feel like some of the times, like, they didn't expect the water, so they just kind of like tumbled. But then once they realized they were in the water, they were just like swimming and like, let's go.
So what is it about their drive? Like, I think of humans, we as babies, we would be completely ignorant on what to do. And
exactly.
Here these turtles, they hatch and then they just go towards the water.
Yeah, they make a mad dash immediately. We keep them we take them from the nursery in plastic tubs, like Tupper totes, and you gently spread them out. We dump them onto the sand, and it is immediate. It's a frenzy that starts. They just start clambering over each other and racing directly towards the sea immediately. so interesting to watch that instinct just happen. You're right. Like us as babies, we're useless until we're into our 20s, and these guys are immediately ready for the world.
I'm almost 50. I think I'm still useless. So we're maybe advancing, but so Abbey, do you know you're kind of a citizen scientist? Like you're on the cutting edge of conservation. Is
Yeah.
that something you recognize, or was this just fun, or are you thinking more and more about science and conservation? Like, what's your story?
Now that the turtles have stopped for the season, yes, I am thinking more about like a future career and maybe like a scientist realm. But they have impacted me.
Mhm.
Even just this one season that we have been doing this, I feel like it's a big impact.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. So, where from here, Aaron? Are you gonna? Is this your home now, and is this where you're gonna kind of put in roots? And I still find it fascinating that you moved from Colorado to Nicaragua. Uh, is there climbing there? Yeah, what's going on?
Uh, it wasn't my intent to stay here and put down roots. It was only for this one project and then to finish it. But like I mentioned, I feel at home here. I love it here. I am putting down roots. I have almost all I have left in Colorado is my trad rack. I have two backpacks, cold weather clothing, and my trad rack is in Colorado. That's all I have left there. Everything else is here, and yeah, I see myself here for quite a while. And regarding climbing, I explored a canyon in the north along the Honduran border, the Somoto Canyon, that has a superb potential. The rock is awesome, and we have permission to explore and develop. I just need the equipment and a good belayer.
And Abbey, as your dad says all this, I see you like nodding, like, yeah, there's good climbing. so, so, uh, uh, I just find this so interesting, and in a way, it's a pure exploration. I remember as a kid, Nicaragua was like, whoa, off limits, and yeah, and you guys are enjoying it. And I mean, do you ever, Abbey? I'm interested in your answer to this. Like, between the turtles, between rock climbing, that's okay to me for a 15-year-old kid. That's really beautiful, advanced thinking. Do you ever wake up and notice something beautiful about nature? Do you ever just think this is awesome? Like what goes through your mind?
Yeah, even with the turtles, or when I'm up at the top of the route when I'm climbing, I just look out. It's so beautiful. It's even just the landscape, or even life itself. Everything is beautiful, and I don't know, I feel like I've been not really paying attention, taking it all in. But I feel like now I'm starting to realize, just slow down, take it in.
Cool. So do you think these turtles, don't they return to the same beach?
Yeah, the same area, same beach. That's how they work. They put a little GPS imprint in their mind, and they come back. So
How long does that take?
I don't know exactly. I think to become mature, I think it's a 2-season process, but I don't know the answer to that question.
So it
I
takes a
know
long time.
Yeah, well, they live on average in 50 plus years.
Wow.
So,
Have you ever seen adults come back to lay the eggs?
yeah, that's almost the first year that we were here. Abby and I were taking a sunset walk on the beach and just happened to see a mother leave the ocean and kind of waddle up onto the beach and lay her eggs.
And I've heard stories that people who live on the beach, if they leave their porch light on or something like that at night, the hatchlings will move against the ocean towards the house lights.
Yeah, our human light pollution.
Yeah.
There's a one hypothesis is that they look for a horizon, an open horizon, or like a light source. So what they would be looking for, the moon or stars. So if there's all these homes on the beach have all their yards lit up, it confuses their senses.
Okay.
But fortunately, where we are very rural. There's a lot of open beach, so and there's almost zero light pollution except for the few houses that are on the beaches.
Nice. So Abby, what could you tell kids your age, younger, older, just kind of our next generation? I see you as a steward of environmentalism, and I mean that in a really positive way. What would you say to kids? Like, I love that here there is this father-daughter relationship, and you're doing really cool things at a grassroots level organically. What might you tell kids who live in the Midwest of the United States, who live in East Africa, who want to do something, but they maybe don't know how?
I would just say, like, just get out in nature, like, as much as you can. And a lot of hands-on projects are really good. Like, just like try to get out there. And if you have a dream, then you have to like try your best to work towards it. Even if it's just like a little thing every day, like just going out for like 5 minutes, like just like a little thing every day, or even like one goal at like the end of the month. It's like either big or small, just like get out there and like go for it.
That's awesome. I can't thank you both enough for joining me in our very initial stages of launching this podcast. I don't know what in the heck I'm doing. I'm just trying, and I love that you guys are doing the same. Although I think your heads are much more wrapped around what you want to do than mine. But Aaron, thanks so much. Abby, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I love what you guys are doing, and I think it's important, and it's very cool. Thanks, guys.